Let's see what states are in React in this video. As I said, properties are just attributes. We define them and assign some values to them. On the other hand, states are a set of dynamic variables which tend to change. And states are the ones which are responsible to drive and render the UI dynamically based on the data. Let's quickly look into an example. Let's say based on some action, this value gets changed and this value gets changed. So that should bring you to a conclusion that these reside in a state. So let's quickly declare the state called name and description for the company element. We initialize all the states in the constructor of a class. Every class or a component has a constructor, and you always need to call super to call the constructor of the React component. Just like properties, states would be defined in this dot state. This is an object in which we can define any number of states or dynamic variables of any type. It can be a number, boolean, array, object, it can just be anything. In this case, let's create two states called name and description. Name state, let's call it Google, and then description state, let's call it web search. Alright. How do we assign these two values here? Well, it's simple. Within curly braces, type in this dot state dot name state. Same thing with the description as well. Okay. Save it. Make sure there are no errors. Refresh. There it is. So these are the values that are coming from a state object. If you want to create an array of companies dynamically based on states, you can do that as well. For that, let's create a state called companies, which would be an array. Alright, and this array has different companies. Let's call it name, Google, disk, web search, next company would be, let's say, Infosys, description is IT services. Now what we have to do here is we have to loop through the companies array and render the company element. So basically we want to show two companies on the screen. So how we do that is within curly braces, so call it this dot state dot companies. So this is the each item and call a function, and it gives us one company item at a time, and let's call it company item. You can also get an index of each item, and this would then return a custom element called company. Name would be company item dot name, which is this. First time it will take this as the company item, next time it will take this as the company item. And then disk would be company item dot disk. Close it and then save. There seems to be an error. Looks like this semicolon is not needed. Let's take it out, save it, refresh. So there it is. So you're driving the UI based on data, and which are basically states. You would usually get this message saying that each React element, while driven dynamically, should have a property or attribute called key, which should be unique. So in this case, generally from server-side data you may get ID, like company ID, something like that. If you don't have it, you have the index, and that is what you can give as the key. This is a built-in attribute for any React custom React component. Alright, save it, refresh, and the error should be gone. So that's how states work in React. We'll look into this in more detail when we build an example application. Alright, stay tuned and subscribe. Cheers.